Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk a bit more about this concept of REST and what that is and what RESTful routes are. And we're going to review the RESTful routes we've seen. And then we're going to add another route in that's called the show page or the show route. So we have four main things. Reviewing the RESTful routes we've seen so far. We're going to change the campground schema and add a description to each campground. I'm going to show you a quick Mongo command. And then we're going to spend the bulk of our time on creating a show route and a template, show.ejs. Let's begin by reviewing RESTful routes. So just before I move on, I'm still in version, and before I move on, I'm still using v2, just in case you want to follow along using the code. All right, so app.js, let's take a look at what we have. We have two main routes, app.get/campgrounds, app.post/campgrounds, and we have one more, app.get/campground/new. And those three routes follow what's known as RESTful routes. And there are 7 of them, and the first one that we're going to talk about is known as the index route. And we're going to do this as an example for dogs. Again, so /dogs would be the URL as a GET request. And what it does, or what it's supposed to do, is display a list of all dogs. So let me make this a little bit of a table here. It's going to be pretty rudimentary. I don't want to spend too much time on it. And our headers are just going to be the name of the route. And then we'll have the URL or the path. And then we'll have the verb, in this case, get. And then we have the description of what it does. Okay, so we have our index route, which for now what we have is /campgrounds, which is going to show a list of all campgrounds, which is what it does. And then the next one that we have, I'm going to talk about, is called new. And new is not what you think it is. It's not actually the post route that makes the new dog or the new campground. It's /dogs/new, and it's the route that actually shows the form. So let me space this out a little more. There we go. And it's a get route, and it displays form to make a new dog. And then that form submits to what's known as create, which is /dogs, the same exact as the index, the same URL, except it's a post. And this is supposed to add new dog to database. And you might be wondering, why does this exist? Why do we need to follow this pattern? The first answer is that it's always good to have some structure, just for our own purposes. But also, this pattern is something that lots and lots of applications will follow, and it makes it reliable and predictable for us to interact with other applications. Once we talk about APIs, we'll know that if we want to get all of the users from the GitHub API, we can do api.github.com/users. And that will give us a list of all the users. That's the users index. So we'll come back to that. But again, these are the 3 we've seen. So index is right here, and I'll go label these. This is our index route, just right there. Show all campgrounds. This is our create route, add new campground to database. And this route is new, which is show form to create new campground. Because remember, we have to have 2 routes in order to send a post request. We need one to show the form, and then we need that form to submit somewhere, which is our create route. Okay, so those are the 3 routes we've done so far. We're going to introduce another route right now, which is called show. So imagine that we have our app set up like this, which you don't have to imagine. We do have this set up. And if I wanted to be able to click on one of these and view more information, and that's what we're going to do, we want to be able to have a button here where I can view information like a map, the different reviews, the comments, the ratings, any other images, whatever other information I want to show that doesn't make sense to put right here, which normally there's a lot to show, and we only show 1 or 2 things on the index page, like a photo and a title. Just like on Reddit, which I know I've been using a lot as an example, but if this is our index, this is showing all of the posts that we have. We're not going to show every single piece of information at once. It just shows the title, shows the link, the number of comments, the time it was submitted, the user, and then we can click to view the comments on a separate page. And there's tons and tons of information to show here, but this isn't all just shown right away on the index page. So what we're going to do is make another route, which is called show, and the URL looks like this, /dogs/ID as a variable. And it's a GET request, and it shows info about one dog. And the reason we put the ID there is that we need to know which dog we're showing, because up until this point, index always works the same way. It shows you all dogs no matter what. This always shows you a form. This always adds in a new dog. But show is a little different because now we need to show you information about one thing in particular. So to do that, not sure how I opened this up accidentally. To do that, we need to define a new route, and we're going to do that now. Go back here, and we'll put it at the bottom. And it's a GET request, app.get/campgrounds/:ID. And then we'll just add the basic thing here, our basic callback with request and response. And then in here, we'll do a res.send. This will be the show page one day. And save. And let's start the app up. And if we go to that URL, any URL that follows campground/ID, any ID, we get this will be the show page one day. If we go to campground/new, we still get the form, and that's because the order of the routes is correct. Remember, if I switch these, all that this pattern is saying is campground/anything, any single word, which is technically what we have here, campground/new. So we need to be careful that this is declared first. Otherwise, it will treat campground/new as a campground/ID route, and it will show us this. Okay, so that's a minor note, but it's important. What we'll want to do in here is find the campground with provided ID, and then render show template with that campground, and we'll save. So the show page is supposed to show more information about one item. But right now, we're showing all the information that we have on the index page. We don't have anything else to show. I guess we have an ID technically, but that's not really useful. So we're going to add a description to our campground. And that description will just be a little bit of text that we can enter in when we create a new campground. So we'll do that now. And we'll go up here to our schema and just add in description. And we'll start it out as a string and save. We have a small problem, which is that the campgrounds that we have already, there's 3 of them, don't have a description. So we can either update everything in our database to have a description, or we can be a little bit more destructive and just delete everything in the database with what's known as db.collection.drop, and we'll drop all the campgrounds, which is what I'm going to do here. And it is something that you'll do occasionally when you make some big changes to your data and you have some pre-existing data that you don't really care about. You would never really drop users' data on purpose, but in this case, it's just our starter, our seed data. So I'm going to drop it. So I'm going to open up Mongo. I'm going to connect to the right database. So let's see, show DBs. I'm going to use YelpCamp. And then I'm going to do a show collections, and we should see campgrounds. There we go. And then if I want to just check how many campgrounds we have, let's do db.campgrounds.find. And I want to delete all 3 of them. db.campgrounds.drop, just like that. So this collection refers to the name of the collection. And if I hit enter now, it tells me true, which means that it worked. And if I try and find all the campgrounds are gone. All right, so let's get out of here now and go back to our app.js. And we've now added in a description. So now let's create a new campground that has a description. So I'm just going to go with what I have here, uncomment that, to create a new campground with name, Granite Hill, image, this image, and then description will be, this is a huge granite hill, no bathrooms, no water, beautiful granite. Okay, and I'm pretty sure the image is not of a granite hill, but that doesn't matter in our case. So we're going to create a campground. And of course, I could have done this in the browser and by going to the form and creating one, but I just want you to get a little more practice doing this through Mongoose. Okay, so let's run the code now. All I need to do is run app.js, we get newly created campground. There we go. And it has a description. And if we wanted to, we can open up Mongo and check on that. And I'll do that very, very quickly. So we'll use YelpCamp. And then we'll do db.campgrounds.find. And there's our new campground. All right, so let's get out of there. Let's clear the terminal.